Hello, Nikolai Markovich from Echolake Technologies, echolaketech.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use repeating groups. Now, repeating groups is Bubble's way of helping you show list of things in your Bubble app. So for instance, if you have a real estate app, you would use a repeating group to show a list of different houses that you might be renting or for sale. If you have an app that handles education, so courses. So for instance, in this demo here, I've got it set up for teachers. So you can use a repeating group to show different classes that are being taught. So let me jump in here and give a quick demo. I've got multiple repeating groups set up here to show different ways of implementing them. And basically for this one here, I've got this user, Jane, teacher at test.com, who's already logged in. And I've got this one repeating group that's just searching for all users in the database, in the Bubble database, that is a teacher. So I've got a few of them that are in here already. And then I've got this other one that's a search for all classes taught by the teacher. So in this case, Jane. So these are the two classes that Jane is teaching, biology and chemistry. Now I also have here classes taught by current teacher logged in. And when we get into the design, I'll show you there's a different way of setting up the repeating group. And you see that biology and chemistry is also shown here. So in this instance, this is done by a search. And in this one here, it's the way I have my database structured. So I actually don't have to do a search. I can just pull from the user and I can show the classes. So since the user is logged in, Jane here, I can set up the repeating group, and we'll get into the details in a few moments. The other way I have it set up here is search for teachers by class using a dropdown. So I have a dropdown here. I've got all these different classes, pick biology. So these are the two teachers that are teaching biology. So I've got this teacher at test, I'm just using their email, and teacher 3 at test.com. So I can go and pick different courses. So this one, algebra, teacher 2. And then for this one here, search for classes by teacher. So I've got the list of the different teachers. So this one here, so teacher, and this is the person who's logged in here. We already know that she is teaching biology and chemistry. So teacher is teaching biology and chemistry. Teacher 2 is teaching these three classes here, and so forth. So in this one here, I can pick the teacher, and then I can show the list, using the repeating group, I can show the list of different courses that they're teaching. In this one here, I can pick the course and show the teachers. Let's see here if I got biology. So I can show the list of teachers who are teaching biology. And then for this last one here, I can choose a class. So these are the classes that are taught by this teacher here. And so this teacher is teaching biology, but in addition to teacher at test.com teaching biology, teacher 3 is also teaching biology. And then this one here is teacher. So this is basically allowing me to pick a class that this teacher is teaching, and I can see all of the different teachers who are also teaching that class. Okay, now before we get into the actual design of this, please subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up if this video is helping you. It gives me feedback so that I know that the content I'm creating is helping and providing you value. Now let's jump over here to the design, and I'm actually going to go to the database here. And in the database, in the data structure, so I've got user, and within user, I have this field here called type of user. Now I did an earlier video that shows how to use type of user, and in the demo here, I've got the value can be teacher or it can be student. And again, I'll give a pointer to the video for that. So in this instance, what I just demoed, the type of user is teacher. The other thing that I have set up in the data structure is classes. So classes is a list of classes, and I'm just going to jump over here for a moment to classes. So class right here. And the type is class with the class name as the type of text and teacher as a list of teachers. Okay, so let's just kind of quickly show you how to do that. So you create a new type and you just type in class. I'm just going to do class demo like that. Maybe give it a space, and that's how you create it. If I go back up here, you can see class demo, and then within class demo, it's going to be, I'll create it similarly to class. So class demo, we've got class name, so create a new field, class name, and that's of type text, like that. And then we also had teacher, which is a list of teachers because we want to capture the list of teachers that teach this class. So over here, teachers, and they're of type user because they have an account in the app. And then I'm going to click this field is a list because we're going to have multiple teachers or potentially multiple teachers teaching a class. So we have a list of users. So you can see right here. And that's how you set up both the type and then the fields within the type. Now I'm just going to delete class demo here because we don't need that. I'm going to go back to user, and similarly to when I created the class and the list of teachers, so for classes, when you go in, create a new field, class, and it's going to be class, and then there's multiple entries for that. I'm not going to actually create it because I already have it set up here into the data structure. So that's how you create the data structure. Now let's go over here to the design, and we have the repeating group. So to get to repeating group, it's one of the elements here, and it's under containers and repeating group. And you just drop that down here. I didn't make any changes to it, so all the default values and so forth. So what we have here is type of content, and we are going to be looking at users for this, and we're going to be searching for users. Now we have a constraint on here, and the constraint is we're going to be looking at type of user equals teacher. And I'm just going to jump over here to, I was at data types before, I'm going to jump to app data, and I've got a bunch of different users on here. So I've got teacher, and within teacher, so this is the actual data in the database, I've got type of user is teacher. Now not all of my users, I think this one here, type of user should be blank, and type of user is blank. So the reason why I'm showing this to you is because when I do search for users, I'm only going to be looking for a type of user of value teacher. So get to this, type of user equals, and then be careful. So you see that this little icon here comes up with click. You don't want to click on that because it'll try to pull a dynamic value. And what I'm actually doing for teacher here, this is, and you see it says insert dynamic data. This actually is a text field. I actually typed it in. So you'll want to move your cursor around, get it kind of close to the equal sign here, and then type in teacher like that, and then you can click on that click here and then hit delete there, and that kind of cleans it up. It's a little quirk, I suppose, with Bubble, but just something to be aware of. What you don't want to do is get into a situation here where you click on that, and if you type in teacher, it's going to try to pull one of these elements, and it's not going to work. So again, teacher, just hit enter like that, and you'll be all set. You can leave this click here, it doesn't really matter, but just for aesthetics, I like to clean it up a bit. So that's how we get the constraint in there. And basically what this is doing is for this repeating group, Bubble is going to go into the database and it's going to search for all users. and it's going to use this constraint, only the users of type teacher. In the repeating group, I have, there's these cells, and there's the first cell is a special cell. This is the one where you can go and edit to add text fields or buttons and so on and so forth. And this one is just a simple example where I have a text field, and it's the current cell's users email. So basically for this, I'm just going to hit a couple of enters there. Insert dynamic data, current cell's user. And then what we've got here is I'm just picking down at the bottom here the email like that. Current cell users email, current cell users email, just like that. Now I could have gone in and also chosen, let's see, first name and so forth. Now you may be wondering, why does it have email and color and all of this? I'm going to go over to the rich text editor here just to kind of quickly show email. So I could have gone in here and typed in email like that, and then gone and made it bold as well, and changed the color on here to blue and save it. And now you see the bold symbol here and the color here and so forth. But I'm going to delete that for now. And so that's how you set up this repeating group. Again, it's going to be looking for all users within the database, so the list of users that has a type of user as teacher. Moving on to this next repeating group. So this one here, I'm doing a search of all the content for class. And what I'm doing here is I'm looking at all of the list of classes that the teacher has current user. So if you recall from the class here, I've got teacher, which is a list of users. And I'm going to be searching for classes, which it contains the current user. And similarly, a text field, current cell's classes, and the class name. And that's how we set up this repeating group. For this repeating group, it gives you the same output, the same answer. It's searching, or it's looking for type of content as class. But here, instead of doing a search like I did over in this repeating group, I've got it current users classes. So I don't need to do a search for this one. And that's nice because when you do a search, it actually is a performance hit in the database for Bubble to go and do a search. So if it's possible, and you can have a data, the way your data structure is, if I can set up a current users classes, that saves me from doing a search. And basically, I'm going to go back to the database or data structure here, and I've got user, and again under user I've got classes, a list of classes. Now this is the important thing. If I didn't have classes under user here, then I wouldn't be able to set up this repeating group to look at current users classes. And you can see here there's a lot of different data types here. So again, if you have a list of things, then you can just go in your data structure and then add them like I did here for classes. Okay, and basically a similar text field, current cell's classes, and then the class name. Just going to go back over here so you can see the current user logged in, biology and chemistry. And then search for all classes taught by teacher. It's biology and chemistry. So the same answer, different ways of getting the answer though. Moving down here, so this one is a search for users again. And we're going to be looking at type of users is teacher. So we have two constraints, teacher, and then the class also contains the dropdown. So this drop down here, and let me show you how to get to drop down. Here's the drop down under input forms. And that's how you get the drop down. So for this one here, choose a class. The default value is static choices, and basically with static choices you would type in whatever value, value 1, value 2, and these would be the values that would show up in your drop down. But in this case, I'm going to pick dynamic choices. The reason being is because I'm going to be looking for a list of classes. Okay, and so dynamic choices, the type of choice I'll be looking for is class. And then I'm going to be searching for classes, and I'm going to be searching for all classes. And then the current option is going to be class name. So current option, and then I could put teacher. I only have 2 values in the data structure, class name and teacher. So for this, I'm just picking the class name. So again, what this is doing for this dropdown is I'm searching for all of the different classes that are available, and I have no constraint on it. And then here, search for users. I'm taking that drop-down class value and also the teacher, and I'm using those as the constraints. And then here, similar to the other repeating groups, I just have the current cell user's email. So in this instance here, biology, I've got no teachers teaching English. Algebra, I've got that teacher. Calculus, chemistry, and then again biology, I've got 2 teachers, teacher 3 and teacher teaching this class. Moving on to this repeating group, so I'm going to be searching for classes in which the teacher is in that list. So search for classes by teacher. Actually, let me go over here. Search for classes by teacher using dropdown. So I can pick these different teachers, and I can see all the classes that they're teaching. So search for classes, and then all the classes in which the teacher is in that in the class. So for this one, let's see, teacher 2. So I'm going to go over to these different classes just to show you in the database, actually app data. And I'm going to go under classes here. So got all these different classes, and you can see that for calculus I've got teacher 2, in algebra I've got teacher 2, and then geometry I have teacher 2 in the database. So teacher 2, geometry, algebra, calculus. If I go to teacher, biology and chemistry, and biology, it's a teacher, and chemistry, it's got teacher. So this way you can see the different values here of teachers, and then when you pick on a specific teacher, you can see the classes that they teach. Go back to the design here real quick. So again, search for classes. We're going to be looking at all the classes in which the teacher, whatever we pick in the drop down, is going to be used. Whoops, right here. Is going to be in that, is taught for that class. And then the last one here is for also looking at classes. And what we're doing on this one is for the classes that are taught by the current teacher. So this current teacher here, Jane, teacher test 2. What we're doing now is we're looking at the classes that she's teaching and all the other teachers who teach that class. So you can see here chemistry, she's the only one that teaches chemistry. For biology, she and teacher 3 both teach that class. So for this one, again, we're doing a search for class. The type of content is class. In the data source, we're using the drop down, this drop down here, which again, dynamic choices, class, current users, classes. So again, we don't need the search like we did over here, because the way the database, the data structure is, we can use the current users classes, so we can see all of the current users classes, and then we're going to see what the class names are, and those will be presented here. And then in the repeating group, we're going to get the list of classes that are based on this drop-down value here. And then we need to convert it to a list. So remember that repeating groups handle lists. So when we go and we do this drop-down value of classes taught by the teacher, the current teacher, we need to convert this to a list so that the repeating group can handle that. And that's how we set up these different repeating groups, have different constraints, and sometimes we need to do a search. And then sometimes if we have the data structure set up correctly, we won't need to do a search, so we can save a bit from a performance perspective. And then we can come up with a variety of different ways in which we can go and provide, use the repeating group to provide a list of data to our users. Again, I hope this video helped. Give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate it, and it lets me know that the video is of value to you. And please subscribe to my video for future videos. Thanks.